In an era dominated by Chiefs and Direwolves, these two Melbourne-based clubs are desperate to make their mark. In 2018, a talent exodus took perennial fan favourite Sin from incumbent challengers to a crushing low. From their ashes comes Mammoth, and though the soul of their squad remains the same, they're now bolstered by international stars. The Bombers may have entered Split 1 with fanfare, but this squad showed only glimpses of what was achievable. Stability and faith in the team paid off late for the Bombers, who will view this as their chance to capitalize on their strengths. Can Mammoth forge a new dynasty, or can the Bombers take the next step and turn potential into the ultimate success?
Hello and welcome to the OPL Split 2, Day 1, of course, brought to you by Hungry Jacks. I am Jake Spawn Tiberi. Joining me on the desk is, of course, Bryce, Ejim, Paul.
How's it going, mate?
Yeah, good. I went over to Berlin during the mid-season break, Bryce. You know, had a good time. MSI was great. How was your stay?
I got to watch you cast at MSI all the way from my hospital bed. You know, week 7 and my lung went kaboom. We're all good now, though. We're back, split number 2. Ready to get into the action.
So you are nice and recovered.
Yep.
Everything's going to be
I'm a
okay.
bionicle, you know, Tally tweeted it, got mechanical lungs like I'm all Gucci.
All right, cool. And you're not the only person that had a busy offseason. A lot of these OPL teams.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're now into split number 2. And you were saying earlier that this feels like the end of the year, that big offseason. There's so many changes. I think only 2 teams in the OPL have their full 5-man roster. 10 out of 40, that's literally a quarter of the players in our league, have changed around. Some went to different teams. We've got some new faces. One new coach as well, but things are looking really different.
Absolutely. And of the 2 teams that stayed the same, both of them boot camped, one in North America, one in Korea. So nothing going to look the same, including the patch. However, guys, earlier today, we were able to catch up with 3 perennial stars of the Oceanic region, not in the playing sense, but the shoutcasters. Obviously, they have a big say in what behind the scenes looks like right now. Very lucky of us to be able to catch up with 3 people that now commentate overseas in Atlas, Rusty, and Fish. Let's get their thoughts on the OPL. Always good to hear from them. That's about the level of knowledge I would expect to come through in the interview.
Yeah, they were your little hens, mate. Like, you pushed them off like you were head of the casting team all over the world, came back, and that's what they give you.
Absolutely. Always good to have them in for a visit. So, however, getting into our first matchup, it is going to be Mammoth taking on the Bombers. And Mammoth, of course, Sin rebranded, still going to have the 6'5" alpha male Juves, of course, with 300 IQ.
600,
there.
mate. You've like halved it.
Sorry,
That's
half
he's
his
twice
IQ.
as
But of
smart.
course, a couple of new members coming across now in MASH, as well as Remind and Chippies from the Direwolf.
Yeah.
I mean, where do we even start with this lineup?
Well, I mean, I think Chippies, that was the biggest change. Dire was coming in very close to the split, announced after their unfortunate MSI performance. They've all said that they weren't happy with that one. And then Chippies, obviously, now joining Mammoth here. We have the 2 imports, Remind, over from the LJL on possibly the best named team in the entire league, Unsold Stuff Gaming. And then, of course, Mash Me from NA. This is a whole new look, but I feel like having Juves, that 6'5" alpha male in the jungle, I feel like his sort of leadership is exactly what our new squad needs to come together with, and that'll help them because they haven't had much time together.
Yeah, absolutely. However, I think that when you look back on Sin's woes, it wasn't really not playing as a team. It was the fact that their individual players were letting them down. And I have to think that across the board, as Juves catches some flies there in the big old mouth, across the board, this is a team that has upgraded in every role they have now changed.
Absolutely. They have some 2 very young players in Dream and Bedoink. Of course, both those roles have been imported now. Praedyth and Chippies are very similar stylistically, but Chippies, MVP of the league, had a very good last split. So it makes a lot of sense that they would pick him up. And you have to think, for a roster that's like had some very good gauntlet runs, Sin Gaming in the past, they've had some performances that they're not quite happy with, and this was potentially the upgrade that they needed coming into the second half of 2018.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see that maybe Bryce thinks they will be favourite for this match. Of course, you can have your say as well. Go to opltips.com.au, register yourself for tipping. Of course, brought to you by Hungry Jacks, XP boost, as well as RP vouchers. Come on, mate.
It's all right, mate.
Bring it back up, Bryce. Bring it back up.
Make sure everyone at home, we've got our in-house tournaments. You know, some of the casters, we're going to be tipping against each other. Jake's obviously going to get them all wrong. Make sure you're playing against your friends. You bled over to me, unfortunately.
You know what? Let's just throw it to 2 people that hopefully can string a sentence together. Let's check in with Nick Boy and Curtis.
Thank you very much. My name is my name is Nick Richardson. You may know me from some of Australia's most broadcast and critically cancelled TV shows about video games, and I'm here with Curtis Sharp Morgan. My man, how are you?
Not bad.
That was such a
Yeah,
powerful. Can we get like
great handshake.
like
Look
a
at that. Get a
solid
zoom in. Where's the
zoom in
zoom in?
on this? Do we have zoom capabilities? I don't think so. Now we're just holding hands, and that's just getting weird.
I don't mind that.
I am here. I'm excited to be joining you guys for this split. Basically, my role is going to be Twitch hype man, and each week I'm going to be joined by a guest enjoying the games as we go. We're going to be in Twitch chat as the games are on, and then in between we're going to be running some competitions and giving away some mystery skins. Now, as everyone watching surely knows, you're involved with the Direwolves in a pretty serious level. I'm a big fan of what you do. I'm a big fan of the way that you guys have branded yourselves. I think it's very professional. But this is a new split, and I feel like it's time to get a new look. So for our first competition, we're going to be running a Direwolves rebrand. Are you okay with this?
Man, I'm completely open to it. Well, look, we've got a new top laner.
Yep.
I'm ready for a new brand.
I think
all right,
it's-
I'm
I
ready.
think
I'm ready to see what all of you guys out there have to say about our logo and how we can upgrade it.
Now, just very quickly, so I want you guys to submit your drawings for a chance to win a mystery skin for a Direwolves rebrand. I've got a sample one right here. I don't know how the camera's going to pick that up. There we go. So we've got, just to run you through this, this is a Direwolf, and then this is Jon Snow, and that's the sword. He's being stabbed. That's
Spoiler.
a massive spoiler. That's a massive spoiler for Game of Thrones. And then I tried to put it in like a crest, but it turned out looking like a love heart. So if you guys think you can beat that, then please submit your drawings on Twitter using the hashtag IamOPL, and the winner will get themselves a lovely mystery skin, and I'm guessing some money from the return
And
of all
the
the merch.
seal of approval, and you'll get a big fat handshake from Rippy as well.
And the money.
Yeah,
and the money.
and the money that Riot Oast is going to provide.
All right, I think I'm just about to get fired. Guys, I'll put it back to you.
I for one, am very. I'm not going to say upset. That's maybe too strong of a word. But as far as a resident shit poster goes, Bryce, how did we not get considered for this role first?
I don't know. I'm very artistically challenged in that regard. So I don't know about you. So like, I'm super glad we don't have to be drawing anything, man.
All right, cool. However, guys, for this split, Riot Oceanic and the OPL is going to provide you with something cool thanks to our friends Hungry Jacks. This split, we are offering a once-of-a-lifetime experience to be able to go to the 2018 World's Grand Finals in Seoul, South Korea. Of course, this is a trip that, airfares, accommodation, all going to be provided for. And what I want you to do is head over to the website, make sure that you're going to be logging in and participating in this, because I've been to a couple of World Championships.
Oh,
and
yeah?
I have. And they are absolutely banger, Bryce. They are not to be missed. I know that you had a crack at trying to get to a couple yourself.
This is my life now. This is just insulted like
I
every
don't
day
know
of
how
the
I'm
week.
supposed to phrase this. Like, it's a cool experience. Maybe you
No,
should
it is.
enter.
I'm all about going to Worlds. I've never been, so like I am not a voice of like a reason on this regard. But better get in there, put your details in, and put my details in as well. So maybe I can get a chance.
Yeah, it is for 2 people. So if
They
you
should bring me along.
potentially you can take a Bryce, Ejim, Paul with you. He
I
would
like
like that a lot. However, there is a second team that we have to go over. It is going to be the Bombers. This is one of the teams that was completely unchanged, and with a backing of someone like Essendon Football Club, that is maybe a bold move, because this team finished second last.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% a bold move. They brought in 2 imports at the start of the year when Abyss became the Bombers, but they shipped off over to NA, which is kind of weird in that we see most OPL teams actually go to Korea in the off-season, but obviously they chose to go over there, and they've stuck themselves together. They haven't made any changes coming into this split, and they really needed to work on their like overall synergy and those sort of things. So I really hope coming back from that boot camp, and you've seen in the interviews that they have shown and their content that is exactly what they said they've improved on. So today is really going to be a big test.
Yeah, and we said about Mammoth, formerly Sin, that their individual players were the problem and they needed better players to be able to take that next step. I think that when you have a look at someone like the Bombers, individual skill of people like Sleeping, Luch, Tiger never really were in question. Maybe you can say that about someone like Seb in the jungle, although he had an okay split towards the end.
Or if you're Fantix, you talk about Rosie, put him when they called him out in the twit longer. So
Yeah, it certainly did. However, I think that as far as overall synergy went, they weren't able to carry that through. You could see clear communication issues. You could see breakdown in comp synergy. A lot of the criticism was directed towards their coach, Windows Monkey, with a full off-season now behind them. You hope this is an area that can change.
yeah, 100%. And I mean, they did make like leaps and bounds of improvements going from the very start of the split. They had 2 weeks without their full roster. And then towards the end, we saw glimpses of what they can do. They can come together, but really, they just need to be able to cement that and level up their overall play, their macro play, their team play, and hopefully they can do it here today.
Yeah, and reward the Essendon fans. Of course, the Bombers faithful want this team to be successful, but let's get straight into the rosters. Starting on the blue side, I assume it's going to be the Mammoth lineup with Chippy's in the top lane. Jubes is their captain, shot caller, jungler, and overall handsome man who I have missed a lot. Remind is their mid laner, of course, the Korean man that played in the LJL a lot, Mash from North America. Kuden is going to be their support, and Vicarious their coach. They're going up against the Bombers, who are hoping they can take off. Last year got stuck on the tarmac a couple of times, Bryce. Just a couple of flight delays, maybe some fault coming out of Melbourne. It's going to be sleeping in the top lane. Seb is their jungler, Luch their mid laner, Tiger and Rosie are their AD carry and support, and Windows Monkey is their coach. And Bryce, I kind of feel bad because I keep saying AD carry and support.
Oh, yeah, that is controversial.
However,
right
in the current meta, if that is the word that you want to use, we've seen towards the Demacia Cup, Abel from RNG picking up a lot of Yasuo. A front page Reddit thread kicked up. Mordekaiser Yasuo to Masters or Challenger, something like that. You're a very intelligent man.
Oh, okay.
You were a good player.
Okay.
What are your current thoughts? You're the person that keeps telling me you suck at League of Legends, by the way. This isn't Flame. This is just sharing of outside information.
Leaks.
What are your thoughts on the current state of bottom lane, the place that you used to reside?
It is super weird, right? Because 8.11, you come in like crit nerfs across the board. I know maybe that's controversial for you, but like a bunch of AD carry item changes. Stormrazor comes in, but then nobody's playing AD carries. Left over, we have Teleport, like on Ezreal at MSI coming into fruition, like really reached its height. And now we're just seeing like Yasuo in the bot lane coming in. Like there's so much less sustain. I think these bruisers are coming in and like it's almost as if junglers, you know, every season their role gets reworked and then they deal with it, you know, they learn how to play. Like support meta changes up all the time. And AD carries, as soon as their role changes, they're just like, nah, you know what? I don't like AD carries anymore. I'm just gonna play some tanks.
Yeah, they went from arguably being the most broken position on the map to completely non-existence within one patch. And I want to see if it does calm down. However, guys, another cool thing we're doing at the OPL this split is if you see a Fire Drake, make sure you're watching very closely for it to be slain. Because as soon as you do that, you can go to os.lolesports.com/giveaway. Punch in the code that will be on your screen and you can pick up Battle Boss Brand. Now, it's very important that you know that you don't have to have Brand. So don't log onto the client and start buying Brand. Because it will come with the skin if you don't have him yet unlocked on your account. And better yet, if you have yourself a Smurf and you punch that one in, maybe you can become a cheeky Brand main.
I like that. Brand's a good champion to climb with, you know? Like all about that early lane aggression. 8.11, like laning phase is super important. I back it.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's one of those champions that does a lot of AoE damage. So definitely has 1v2, 3 potential if people overextend onto you. And it's just a cool skin. You can't really see the queue. I like to play skins that are a little bit busted.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're that guy. You're that guy that like skins for literal, like actual advantage.
Absolutely.
Okay, I always hated playing against the legendary Morgana skin because out of a bush, couldn't see the bind.
I think you actually had a couple of infamous tweets to people that were playing that specific skin. So make sure you just type through the old at EGMLOL Twitter account and check out some of it. However, we are into Champions League. It's going to be Mammoth on the blue side, Bombers on the red side, and Karma going to hit the bench immediately.
Yeah.
And Australian Soul, a champion
Soul.
we did not see at all,
as hit the bench.
What the heck is going on?
And this is the thing. 8.11, Banner of Command, I think is the biggest culprit. Karma in the mid lane, that early shove, things like that. But Talia, of course, we haven't even touched on that. She is now a jungler, basically.
First
straight out of the mid
ban.
lane. Yeah, first jungle ban, Talia. And that sounds super weird. And I think Aurelion Sol is kind of one of the very few mid laners that is all about the push priority. It's all about the same playstyle as Talia. And now he's filling that role that she leaves the void in the mid lane.
Yeah, absolutely. AD carry in Ornn gets taken off the board.
And
Gangplank going to hit the bench as well, who is still a top laner. Thank goodness. We're going to try and stay up to date with what is relevant in pro play right now, which could be a difficult... You know what's going to happen? This is going to be another one of those times where I talk something up a lot.
And it's just going to go
and it's just not going to happen at all.
Oh, we just get like standard double 80 carries, support, like mage supports,
you know,
just
Nami versus Janna, Ezreal versus Kai'Sa, everything's going to be fine. Kai'Sa not going to be banned away. It's going to be Aurelia last ban. And immediately Chippies says, Jubes, look at me. I am the carry now. And locks in his patented Camille.
Yeah. That's going to be the first pick. He's very competent on that champion. Will it be Kai'Sa? Because, of course, Ezreal and Kai'Sa are probably the two best like, 80 carries. Maybe Lucian, if you attack him with a Braum in the bottom lane, he's very good with the new Essence Reaver. But in terms of actual 80 carries,
so
she
what
does
is
get
your
picked
build
up
on
for Tiger.
Lucian now? You're a Lucian main at one point.
Yep.
Are you still Bork, or do you go Essence Reaver?
Well, the thing is you can now combine his two best builds, which is the Bork Cleaver and the Essence Reaver into crit build. And now crit isn't that great, but you start with a Bork for the laning phase. You get the slow, extra lifesteal, things like that, and then you get second item Reaver onto the Black Cleaver. Suddenly you get tons of CDR in all your abilities when you're ulting,
you're not doing anything
tanks.
fancy where you're going like Vam Scepter into Reaver into Blade of the Ruined King. Like,
I mean,
you're just going straight rush item.
I mean, I'm going straight rush item. You see a lot of people do that, but I mean,
the passive is not great early in the game because it's percentage health damage.
That is true.
So I'm just saying mathematically, Bryce. Potentially we'll see something else. Rosie sporting the red hair, of course. He is a Bombers fan, IRL, and of course their support. It's going to be Kai'Sa. Graves picked up Ezreal, the other strong 80 carry that you mentioned, as well as Zoe making a return. Remind there on your screen.
And it's absolutely happened. We've got a Kai'Sa versus an Ezreal. We're not going to have...
talk to me about Kai'Sa, though.
All into the bottom lane. What do you want to know, Jake?
What is the build on Kai'Sa right now?
Okay, we're going to Ginsu's because on 8.11, she got a buff to her AP build. The scalings are a little bit better, and a W applies so much damage. So you a lot of times see the Ginsu's into the Runards, but now it's all about that AP. So Ginsu's into Nashes, into Deathcap, Void Staff, and it also, the AP build allows you to build a Zhonya's and actually be not trolling. And then you can 1v5 the backline and do the budget Messiah, but on a Kai'Sa.
Yeah, it's really potent because her burst damage with AP is so much higher. If you land that W off CC, lands, you dive in, WQ, is generally enough to blow up a squishy, and then you can Zhonya's reset the team fight in that way. Braum going to be picked up to go with Kai'Sa. Of course, so potent with Ezreal. I feel like that's a 2-for-1, probably denying the best support for Ez, as well as picking up one of the power picks down there. Going to be Morgana and Jax taken off the board.
That's a bit weird, but do we see something like the Rakan hit the bench here? Of course, they banned the Morgana, picked up the Braum on the side of Bombers. Rakan received a few nerfs to his laning phase and still is probably one of the best supports, I think.
I feel like Rakan is now finally to the spot where Xayah was, which is he was really OP at MSI. And then now it's if you are a good Rakan player, you can play the character, as opposed to if you're a support, you should play Rakan. It's kind of in the area that Thresh is in, picks like Bard that we were seeing coming out from the Bard 1 tricks. I feel like Rakan's a little bit closer to that, maybe still a little bit more potent because of the AoE engage, and LeBlanc gets taken off the board. Assassin's really... Zoe has difficulty dealing with Assassins is the nicest way I
She
can
has
put
the weirdest mobility in the game. Because as soon as you go somewhere, you're going straight back. And so there's really no way to get away from anything like the LeBlanc, so they banned that one away. Vlad is a pick that would make a lot of sense into the Zoe. We're now seeing, of course, with the spellbook changes, we see a lot more maybe Predator, Electrocute, things like that. Just going Comet maybe. See what Luch opts in for. We've seen multiple people do different things, but...
I like Predator. I think it's actually a really cool choice because Vlad is all about being able to get that first access. However, he does struggle during the laning phase and does like to take things like teleport or ignite depending on matchup. So being able to avoid going ghost necessarily is a good thing for him.
Not to mention, if we look in like the play-ins at MSI where Vlad really just came out of nowhere and was like a very big pick, everyone was going Shurelya's into Spellbinder. And so they went for the double move speed. And now that you can't go the Spellbook, the Predator kind of offsets that, and you don't have to build the Shurelya's anymore because it just got nerfed. There's less value, you get less move speed for yourself, and the active is a little bit slower, so it makes a lot of sense.
And there you go, there's a Rakan picked up. And this is honestly a real standard comp coming out of Mammoth. I mean, if we went back 2 patches and this comp was locked in, I'd be like, yep, that is a very strong team comp. However, is it strong on the current iteration of the patch? We're certainly going to see over the course of the weekend. Now just waiting on potentially a top or a mid laner, depending on what Sleeping and Luch want to play. I would expect Luch to pick up the Vladimir here, certainly his best champion.
Yeah, he's been a long-time Vlad player, so that makes a lot of sense. Of course, you see both the 80 carries right now are actually hovering with the teleport. Not going to be seeing any heals in the bottom lane, and that's a Fiora.
Absolutely, so carry versus carry, lack of engage out of the Bombers comp. And once again, I have to say this is a very Bomber-esque comp, because I look at it and I think, what the heck does it do well? And I actually don't know. Because they have no way to start a team fight. Braum Flash ulti is probably the best they have. Their 1-3-1 isn't great because they don't hold off Siege as well with Kai'Sa and Graves. This is a comp that kind of a little bit of, you go to a Hungry Jack's, you try and get a meal and they just give you 3 burgers and you're like, where are my chips and drinks? And they're like, sorry mate, 3 burger meal today.
To contrast, Mammoth have got exactly what they wanted, you know what I mean? They got the whole complete set, chips and a drink. They've got engage tools almost everywhere. Skarner, of course, one of the best. Rakan can follow in with the Camille.
They've got great 1-4 split. They have great engage if they don't want a 1-4 split. They have good poke and siege. This is honestly a comp that is very flexible, and you would have to say that their early game is not necessarily bad, and their late game is very, very scary.
And the one thing I do want to highlight is the Sleeping versus Chippies matchup. Of course, Chippy's new to the Mammoth lineup, but the last time these two guys played, like Sleeping was the guy that came into the scene, came into the OPL, was like,
Locked in Ribbon.
yeah, locked in Ribbon into the gangplank, and then Chippies was literally solo killing him in that game. So I feel like Chippies has almost always had the upper hand in this matchup. So for Sleeping to lock in that Fiora, obviously very confident in his ability, just come back from that NA bootcamp and feeling pretty good about this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to say that Mammoth is going to look to make a giant splash. This is a team that has gone out and immediately invested. You can see the upgrade in talent, as we already mentioned, in 3 roles. And Juves has been very vocal about wanting to bring a team together, as he was able to do last year, take that step and contend for the top spot within the OPL.
That's the thing. It will be the game, the start of the season. This is our first match. We'll see if Juves and the rest of the fellas can actually get it done.
Absolutely. We are onto Summoner's Rift for game 1. It's going to be Mammoth on the blue side, taking on the Bombers. And just as we are getting to game, we are joined by coach of Mammoth, Vicarious. Thank you for joining us on the desk.
Hey guys,
How are you?
I am great.
All right, talk to me about your roster changes, because immediately you see Chippies as well as Remind and Mash coming in. Talk to me about these 3 players. How have they meshed together so far? Is it looking promising?
They have been a great teammate and great addition to the team. So Mash and Chippies are very, very vocal players. They give very constructive comments to what's good for the team, what's not so good, what needs to be fixed. And Remind, as a player, he is very, very mechanically good. And he can just adapt to the team very, very well.
And you talk about Mash and Chippies being very vocal specifically. Do you think that helps when you guys had a bunch of rookies last split and Juves was kind of like the one man, like the one voice for that team? Do you think that's going to put a lot of weight off his shoulders this split?
Oh, definitely. So, like in our practice games, we noticeably see the team being a lot more talkative, and like it's less sort of like the Juves game sort of thing. So it's great. So it's really great to hear that.
And one more question before we let you go. Obviously, everyone in the OPL loves Sim Gaming. Now the rebrand to Mammoth. What's changed behind the scene? How are the guys taking it? Are you still the fun Sim that we used to see in the OPL? And I guess, what's the message to the fans after all of this?
Well, we're no longer Fighto, but Tusk Up sounds good, right?
Tusk Up,
Tusk Up,
absolutely.
yes. So, no, but our gameplay is still going to be exciting. I think everyone should really, really look forward to, I want to say Mammoth, but okay. Our Mammoth plays this split.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck in this game. That, of course, was Vicarious, coach of Mammoth Gaming. Whilst all of that was going on, we saw a fan out, a late invade coming in from the Bombers, not really able to achieve all that much. And very standard start here, Bryce.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of trading going down in the bottom lane, but junglers will be ending up on the same side of the map on the top side right now. Mash and Kuden, the new bottom lane, they really haven't had a lot of time. A lot of the imports that are coming into Split 2 just have not been here for very long, playing in Oceania, playing with their team. So in terms of synergy, will be something to look forward to, whereas Tiger and Rosie spend a lot of time together now.
Well, one thing I do want to point out is the fact that Triple M, Mammoth, actually did boot camp over in Korea. They met Remind over there. I don't believe MASH took place in that boot camp.
Yep.
However, they also took some of their old players, which is a shout out to the organization. Like, I really, really respect that. And I think that as a team, they were able to start building some of that synergy. A lot of synergy in League of Legends, and this is going to sound silly, actually happens off Summoners Rift.
Absolutely.
It's knowing what your teammates are like, knowing how they respond to certain situations. And I think that the fact that they've, like, a lot of this team has already traveled overseas together, you know, they know how quirky Juves can be. They would have got used to Kuden, who was also a character. That only means good things going into these games.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about the bot lane of Mammoth. We've mentioned them a few times, but I think the vocality of Mashme can't be understated. For a player like Kuden, he's played on a number of teams in the OPL now, and he is not a very vocal player. In terms of the support and AD carry duo, you expect the support to be the more vocal one. But now, having this import from North America that is very vocal, I feel like lends itself to a Kuden bot lane specifically, like, very well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's kind of the second person in most of the time. I think that was a lot of the struggle he had with Dream. Dream, obviously, rookie.
Yeah.
Didn't come in and lead the lane necessarily. However, as we check in with what's going on in Summoner's Rift, looks like it's pretty even across the board.
Yeah.
In fact, the score, 6,200, absolutely dead even. We're seeing the fact that Zoe's push is still there. Vlad's going to struggle with that. Early game has, of course, gone with a shield for himself. Seems a little bit strange for a Blood Mage to have a shield. Hold that thought. Chippies goes in. It's a very nice
Very
shot.
nice trade. The riposte from sleeping slightly too late does not block the damage from the Q. So Chippies are well and truly in control of this lane so far.
Sleeping's a real animated dude. Whenever you see his player cam, you can see that he's talking, he's waving his arms around. That's going to be the TP that's coming out. One thing I do want to point out is we've seen kind of the death of Kleptomancy on everyone apart from Ezreal. Grasp just seems to be rising to the top of that, and a big wave has been stacked up. You can see right there that it's actually Seb just hovering the lane, making sure no dive.
And that's something that's very important, because Bombers last split, they didn't look like a cohesive team. If all of a sudden Juves is on the top side of the map, Sleeping TP's back and Seb is nowhere to be found, he's not shadowing his laners, that's a dive. He loses an enormous wave in the top side, and that's just a huge detriment. But already, only 5 minutes into the game, Seb on the Graves. Oh, actually, double
Fantastic
knock-up.
engage. Gets both members. Tiger turns around with a little bit of damage. However, one thing about shield is you get to, sorry, not shield, ring, you get 2 potions. So that damage certainly not as sticky as it would have been.
And that's the thing, Sustain in the bottom lane is just overall down in this patch. The nerf to fleet footwork, Tiger still has picked it up, but it's pretty significant, so damage should be able to stick in the bottom lane. Of course, as you mentioned, ring will help a little bit.
And Remind doing a great job so far. This is a player that, you know, we're not really sure how he's going to fit in. Great chunk coming in there. Juves also had vision of Graves. We'll be able to get the complete control of bottom side. That's where the Scuttle Crab is going to spawn. Probably should mention the Scuttle Crab changes. Feels like so long ago, but I don't think we've played a professional game on it yet, Bryce.
Yeah, absolutely huge, and probably Jungler's least favorite change overall.
Was it as bad as people thought it was going to be?
I mean,
though?
I think there's definitely like a knee-jerk reaction to everything. The fact that we came into today expecting there to be no 80 carries in the bottom lane is absolutely a knee-jerk reaction. And of course, in game 1, we have double 80 carry, the actual genuine 80 carry. So
yeah,
I feel
genuine 80 carry starting with Doran's ring.
I mean,
agree with you.
They also both have TP, but like it's closer than a tank in the bottom lane, right? But I feel like the changes were definitely very significant. And it kind of sucks as a jungler if it can randomly spawn on one side of the map that is your weak side. You really don't have much control over that area, and it feels like almost a bit of luck that the enemy jungler gets to pick that one up. But as things have settled down, it's become less and less of an issue.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't know if there is a weak side of Summoner's Rift right now for Mammoth. With Chippies, he's just holding that wave. We'll shove it in nice and big right now. Is that creep wave, and Sleeping going to have to catch a lot of it under the turret. You can see 2 recalls to 1.
Yeah.
Kuden goes for a cheeky roam. Gets spotted out by Seb, but nothing much happening here. And once again, the game, I mean, might sound like we're repeating ourselves, dead even. Not all that much happening around Summoner's Rift.
But I feel like that kind of has to favor Mammoth at this stage, because they have Skarner in the jungle already. Once he gets level 6, once he gets access to that Impale, that's when he wants to be making his big play. Rakan, his laning phase did get nerfed. Brom's really not going to be able to bully him around, but big playmaker at level 6. So I'm looking to Mammoth to see if they start making plays once they hit that power spike.
Yeah, you can see right now, Luch is struggling mid lane. He's actually, I mean, if Rift Herald got picked up when it on spawn here, and which it could because of how much priority is in top side of the map, Luch's turret's going to fall.
Yep.
Mid lane turret to be that incredibly low is a little bit negative right now for the Bombers lineup.
A little bit of a bad sign. And Vladimir also one of the champions that needs to be inside the wave to wave clear it. So if Juves floats around there, if they get a roam for the bottom lane, Kuden, potentially.
No, he gets stunned up there. You can see still going to be the pickaxe as well as a dagger picked up. Of course, Ginsu's did have its build path changed. No longer have to go full Negatron close, which is helpful because no, that was not Ginsu's. Is it full recoil close still, or is it a dagger?
I think it's Rico first.
Yeah.
So,
it's Amp Tome instead of Blasting Lodge.
Yeah, you don't have to go for the full AP.
You don't have to go full AP.
Which sucks on like Varus and stuff like that. Kaiser, like it's not the worst.
Varus is alright with AP now, ever since the W change.
Yeah, like he does have that
Hogmore's
AP build.
probably the worst with AP out of all of the Ginsu's users.
Bit of an evade coming out of Seb though, Juves.
level
Predator
6
is popped,
Juves,
but
yeah.
Luch just base. Seb might just have to
He should
flash
be
here.
dead.
Ultis.
I mean, he's going to get Sleepy Trouble bubbled. You see, goes back, brings it back in. First blood going to be given over to Remind. And Seb had actually taken his own blue buff, so that's double buff.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I was talking about. Bombers just do not look cohesive as a unit. Luch was there. They went for that invade. He was shadowing Seb over to the buff, but then he steps up and he just starts a recall. And he literally goes through with it despite seeing Juves. Predator popped. They knew he wanted to fight. And he just leaves Seb to the walls and he gets eaten for first blood.
And this is the other thing that kind of frustrated me about Bombers, is you have on the side of Mammoth 4 summoner spells burnt for that. Everything used. Get in there, flash on him, take him down. Seb doesn't use the summoner spell, falls down. And what was a gank? If he ran into Baron Pit there, just flashed the wall or ulted over the wall, definitely would have survived. As now Luch going aggressive.
Remind's actually just autoing the turret. He wants to take that one down. First brick solo gold.
Absolutely goes over to Remind. He's got himself a stopwatch as well as boots too, so is in no danger. Looking for Sleepy Trouble Bubble, will not be able to land, but this is now a 2,000 gold lead.
For his first game in the OPL, Remind absolutely popping off. Only got the 1 kill from the first blood, but solo turret take. Juves, other than that pick onto Seb, really hasn't influenced the mid lane all that much. And that's just a natural turret take from the mid laner of Mammoth.
Sleeping, however, on top lane, will be able to get that vital. Does he go for the ultimate as well? He certainly does. Chippy tries to run away. It was body blocked, but no riposte available. Means that Sleeping uses the ultimate for nothing.
Chippies does get away. The cost of most of his HP right now, but it seems like Mammoth almost winning the lanes across the board. Rosie going to try and do something to get Kuden out of the bush, but that was pinked before. They've had the priority, they push up, they clear out the vision. When Seb shows on the top side of the map, all of a sudden, Mammoth's bottom lane can push up, they can play aggressive, and Bombers don't really have an answer.
And this is the thing, Bryce, and we kind of said this, is what wins on the Bombers lineup? Because Vladimir, great late game mid laner, however, does struggle early on in particular matchups, this being one of them. I mean, Chippies versus Sleeping, it's always historically gone in Chippy's favor. You got Ezreal Rakan, that's going to be a difficult lane. And whilst Graves is good at invading, you have to have pushing lanes for that. And I'm kind of confused by Windows Monkey's comp that he's put together for his team.
And I feel like it's definitely a bad omen, not just that the turret is taken and they lost first blood, but Graves is already behind in CS. You expect Graves to be able to bully around, and that's exactly what you were talking about. With the priority, Seb hasn't really found an avenue, and that early death before kind of means that you just don't expect him to get ahead of Juves very much for the rest of the game.
And I mean, if you're a poke comp, if you've got this much control, look at the vision on the bottom side of the map. How do you now deal with Remind, who's already quite fed and just looking to make a mark? Now visiting bottom lane.
But this is the thing, Bombers are now losing on multiple fronts. They're going to have to sack something eventually. They are actually going to check this bush. They're looking for a ward, but
this could
Tiger's
be
the only one that has it. There we go.
They go over. Sleepy Trouble Bubble will land. Do they continue to commit? No, they don't, because it landed on Braum. However, bottom lane turret now taking a beating.
And this is the thing, it's just wasted time for the bottom lane of the Bombers. Sure, the turret doesn't go down yet, but Mammoth can just rinse and repeat. Seb's going to look to take an answer on the other side of the map. This turret in top lane is fairly low, so with a Rift Herald and 2 versus 1 members up there, they should be able to take a turret in response. But the bottom lane definitely getting bullied out by Remind's pressure.
Yeah, I would say opportunistic Rift Herald take coming in here. However, with the state the game is in, if you're Mammoth, I don't think you really care all that much. You can push out mid lane whenever you want. That's going to be a difficult Rift Herald take there. Potentially, top lane is open for the picking, as you mentioned, but it's still going to be into a Camille lane. They're actually looking for mid lane. Sleepy Trouble Bubble will miss, and Remind actually has to burn the stopwatch. Where is the teleport? It is not available. Seb goes very low and actually somehow got out of that Skarner ultimate. However, now the stun will land. He'll start dragging Luch back towards the turret, but Juves is not going to have the damage, and that's a kill picked up for the Bombers.
And a very nice pick, and exactly what they needed. No flash, barely available for Remind. So he cannot get out of that one. The slow from the smoke screen just means too much. Luch might have just potentially got him back into the game.
But where was the Rift Herald drop? Where is the push in? I feel like they got a pick. It was opportunistic. They really could have started clawing this lead back, but they don't go for it. Instead, opt to slow play.
They did. Sleeping was rotating down, but because of the pressure in the bot lane that we've been talking about, Mammoth, Kuden was actually walking up the river, potentially didn't favor the 2v2 turret take. Of course, the turret is just full HP because Remind's been shoving onto the enemy side of the map the entire game.
Juves and Kuden versus 2 ranged champions are going to really struggle.
Absolutely.
There is no damage that comes out of that combo, as Juves trying to take out a pink ward will get stuff thrown at him.
He's looking for the blue buff. He really wants to start this one up, but pings are going down. They don't know that Seb is on the other side of the map, so he's actually playing this fairly greedy. He's actually going for the walls and potentially looking to just split the jungle, but this does mean that Bomber's bot lane once again is under threat.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see Juves goes forward, actually just smites him, walks back out, second turret of the game going down. Gold lead back to 2,000. And even though this is 1 kill to 1 and, you know, probably one massive mistake to one massive mistake, you have to say that the consistency of Mammoth's lineup is certainly coming out now.
And do they even bother dropping the Rift here? He is spotted on a pink ward. Seb's going to hit that one out, but Chippy's all alone at the top side, won't be able to defend this, so they're actually holding onto that one.
But the creep wave isn't there.
Half left on that, so they might have to drop it next wave. But do Mammoth just commit on the bot side? They have no mid turret to defend. so Remind can just walk on over. Chippies is actually rotating, whereas this is what was not happening for Bombers. They were getting their lanes pushed in, they were defending under their turret, and Chippies is like, look,
And
it's
they go!
gone, I'm going to rotate.
Sleepy Trouble Bubble gonna land, and he's gonna burn the flash as well. It does not matter. Tiger falls down. And that is Mammoth absolutely destroying the Bombers on the rotation.
And can they continue? Can they stick around? Luch is actually rotating over. He does not have the Ignite available. Does have the flash and the ulti
stun,
though.
however, will not be able to make anything happen. In fact, he loses half his health. Luch makes the rotation across, but now all of a sudden, Sleeping is overextended on that part of the map and probably needs to get the heck out of dodge.
Remind looking for something. Chippy's trying to find Sleeping, but over the wall he goes. Will be absolutely fine. But I think the big thing and the most subtle thing is if you look at the cooldown on the Rift Herald for Sett, he's not really going to have an opportunity to use this one. This bot lane is shoved all the way in. Top lane is just going to rebound. Chippy's going to be able to push that one out. And mid lane is really his only option. He's just going to drop it, get a chunk, and that's about it. I really do not think they will be able to get a turret with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there was the opportunity to. At least if they dropped it mid and couldn't rotate it, as you said, it would have relieved pressure. There was windows for them to be able to make their way back in. But I think a conservative game plan has come out of the Bombers right now. Obviously all about that scaling, not really looking for those proactive players.
We'll see if it does pay off later in the game, but Mammoth have actually opted for the lane swap here. Rift Herald is going to be popped, and there are a few members of Mammoth collapsing to the mid lane, so they do want to defend.
By a few, Bryce
full
means 5.
5v5, 10 players on the screen very soon, but they might just get the turret.
Yeah, looks like it could go down. Sleepy Trouble Bubble just misses. It's going to be cleared out. There's the Ezreal ultimate.
Doesn't get it.
One more auto attack from Rift Herald. Juice
Oh,
just
does.
wants to fight. Flashes in. Grabs Rosie. In goes Kuden as well. Gets a 3-man charm. Dashes back out. Sleeping falls so incredibly low. Chippy still wants to look for it. Has flash and ulti. Doesn't pull the trigger. But now on the rebound, they look for the tier 2.
And if you look at the state of the map right now, Mammoth pushing in almost all 3 lanes. Ezreal is actually going to TP to the top.
Oh my goodness gracious me. That damage is disgusting. And Remind is going to continue to look for the poke. Mid lane wave will fall down. But Tiger saw his life flash before his eyes.
And he doesn't have a heal. All he's got is a TP there. Can't get up. But this is exactly what happens when the team that's behind makes an opportunistic play that gets immediately punished. Juves burnt the flash, burnt the Predator, immediately got onto the only tank on their lineup, but they just don't care. They kill Rosie immediately, and because the waves are pushing in, they have complete control over the map.
And I just have to say that for a team that has been together for all of 5 days, Mammoth look very scarily on the same page right now, grouping when they need to. Obviously, the big voice of Juves is always going to be able to explain exactly what he wants to do. Sleeping over the wall, does hit the blast plant, can potentially continue to chase, however will not do so. Chippies escapes with his life.
Has got himself a very slight CS lead now, so matchup sort of swinging in his favor. Of course, did pick up a few waves where Chippies was unable to contest. Most of Mammoth's pressure has gone bot, whereas the opposite has happened for Bombers, but the Fiora finished that first item, got the Hydra starting to get ahead.
The other thing we do have to point out is the fact that Tiger is now starting to scale up, has picked up his first item. It's going to be the Ginsu's, arguably, I guess inarguably, the best one-item power spike, still in League of Legends. However, has got himself a cheeky null magic mantle.
Yeah.
Which is strange. QSS, you reckon?
Yeah, he needs to pay the tax. Every single good engage has come out of Juves, just flash ulting someone right now, and he's going to pay the QSS tax. I think that one's going to go straight into that. Wants that extra safety. You saw Remind, like, one combo of abilities, and he goes down immediately, so cannot afford to be CC'd in any of these fights.
Nice little macro play coming out of Bombers there. Know that 2 waves are very far off turret, so group us 4 bottom and be able to pick up that turret. Not normally a turret you'd be able to get that free at this stage of the game, so very good read. Burn Tiger's TP back to the mid lane turret.
And that's the thing. You talk about TP and you think about top laners, sure, like they can make a number mismatch across the map and bot lanes have to be afraid of whether you have TP disadvantage and things like that. AD carries, for the most part, just use their TP to TP back to a lane. They catch a side wave, they pick up more CS, they play a little bit greedier, and then they just TP to the mid lane to defend the turret.
And look how scared Luch is right now. He was standing there for the entirety of that creep wave. Rosie, don't walk into that Sleepy Trouble bubble.
Seb
Instead,
does.
Seb does.
Does not get punished.
The
It's
little Space Fox chases him across the map.
I love Airy.
Yeah, Airy's cool.
Except when you're a support and you're poking someone under the turret, and then like you do the damage, and then you walk into turret range, and then Airy procs.
Yeah, yeah.
You just get aggro, and then all of a sudden he ruins your day.
You've got to be on the same page.
As Airy.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't thought about that. Do you communicate with Airy? Because I certainly don't. But back to the state of the game right now. Chippy's just pushing out the bot lane. Sleeping very far away from his turret, so he's going to get a nice Cheeky back up, pick himself up a phage.
This is going to be an early spike for Mash as well. He's already at 19 minutes in, going to go back, pick himself up the Trinity Force as well as that upgraded Muramana to the Manamune. See whether he still goes double tier build. See what else he has in store for us. It is going to be double tier.
Yeah.
19 minutes into the game and no threat of needing a QSS.
Yeah.
This is very early.
And that's the big thing. Not to mention, Kuden's even gone for the Zeeks, right? So he's going to do
he's
even
strong.
more damage if he chooses to put it on Ezreal, or he could put it on Remind. But that's going to be a big burst of damage. Already finished his Muramana, as you said, working on the second tier very early, pre-20 minutes.
And as you said, it was the QSS tax being picked up by Tiger. So not only is he down a full offensive item,
He's got a
he's
QSS.
on a champion that arguably with a double tier build doesn't scale as well.
That's rough, and Lucius is on exactly the same thing. They're so afraid of the proactive play that's coming out of Mammoth. And
Oh, and Rosie's just done the same thing.
damn, okay.
Everyone is going QSS.
This is a very defensive play. Now, we talked about the late game out of this team is very good. Kai'Sa scaled incredibly well. Vlad can take over a team fight. Fiora, late game,
I don't know how they get in.
and that's the thing. One of the scariest late game threats in a side lane. But if Mammoth have all these tools, they have Impale, they have Kuden's ulti. Jubes might just find himself caught out. Bubble does not land.
Yeah, that was actually a little bit sloppy from Bombers. They let him stand on the Spire until it nearly popped. And of course, Spire does give you vision of the area. That brush is within vision of Spire. That was the one pick they needed. You know, Dragon coming up now, potentially going to be prioritized by the Mammoth lineup. And
they're
Bombers
pretty-
are just seeding pressure.
They're pretty lucky that it is double air Drake. If
Yeah.
that was something like double Infernal, this game
Double
looks
Mountain.
incredibly hard. Double Mountain makes taking Baron all that easier. So, as you mentioned, going to put a bit of priority down the bot side. I feel like, as they're doing, Bombers are going to try and rescue some control back on the top side, but that Dragon died almost immediately. Mammoth walking their way over there again. The Bombers need to be able to set up some semblance of control around this Baron. Otherwise, Mammoths are going to have everything they need to take it down.
And you can see right now that choke point is so hard to walk through. They will just be able to push out mid lane, get complete control over this Baron area. Coden now with reckless abandon just marching into the forest, looking to clear out vision. And as I said, there's just no good hard engage coming out. A potentially flash ultimate from Rosie is the best they can hope for. Really what they need is a pick coming out of Fog of War, and their vision control right now just isn't good enough for that.
Potentially sleeping now. Can set up some pressure in the side lane. Chippy's falling a little bit further behind. We're talking about a 20 CS lead and what is a almost 3,000, 4,000 gold lead for the team, so it doesn't mean all that much in a 1v1, but as this progresses, you feel like sleeping is going to need to be that threat in the side lane, and that's what Bombers do really rely on to bring another member down, which is happening right now. Mash is looking for the pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Has teleport as well. That's going to be a riposte, and he'll just jump back off the wall. It's very strange to see an 80 carry at 22 minutes gank the bottom lane. However, when you have TP, you can do whatever the heck you want.
Absolutely. You can just go straight back to the top lane. Straight back to the Baron if you need to. But I'm surprised they didn't actually commit, because of course Chippy's had his E riposted. There was no way that he was actually going to get the CC, but Mash was already in the tri-bush. Potentially could have just E'd around, started whacking away, potentially burnt a flash or something like that, but Bombers did react down the river and they didn't want to opt into a team fight without you.
Yeah, now Bombers trying to wrestle control of this mid lane wave. Of course, if you can get that in, much easier to access the Baron, try and sweep out some of these wards, or in fact, they can just commit to it. Got to walk through a choke if you're the Mammoth lineup. Rosie needs to block that one, to be honest.
Kuden could have a very deep flank, but he has gone the safe way back on the strong side of the map for him. Bombers do respect the fact that Remind and Kuden immediately go missing from vision, so...
And that's just going to be Baron. Already they're teleporting across. There is a ward in the pit, however, it is pink, so they don't exactly know what's going on
They
here.
can make it.
You can see so much damage, but Baron is so tanky at this stage of the game.
Actually peels off. They're looking for Rosie.
That's
They
going to
have
be
no
Rosie
vision.
stunned up. He has QSS, but he just does not use it. Was it on the right button? I don't know. He gets destroyed, and they're immediately back on Baron.
And does Sleeping TP? Do they even try and contest this? The jungler is still alive. Seb has Smite. Redemption for Vision. They're looking for the Graves.
I mean, Luch has everything available, and right now is a 2-item Vladimir. Surely they go for it. Instead, they're trying to just go for the steal. You can see Seb tries to sweep out. Over the wall goes 2 members, and they will blow up Seb, so no steal coming through. 2 turrets for a Baron and 2 kills. You have to say Mammoth came out on top.
Yeah, and Sleeping doesn't even get much of a chip on that bot lane inhib. They're very decisive play, and that is what last season I would call a Direwolves Baron, where Chippy's just TPs to the Baron pit, immediately 5-man, they just started up. But now it's just, very close. That is the Chippy's Baron.
Yep.
Absolutely, just hard commit on the objective. They knew Bombers were out of position. They knew they had no vision control around the area, and Mammoth very decisive play so far.
And you have to say that coming into this game, big question